What's up? A to Z Sports Live on a Monday, post-Super Bowl reaction Monday. Always a big day, and everybody scrutinizes every decision that's made in the Super Bowl every year. And the Chiefs, for the third time in 4 years, hoist the Lombardi Trophy and Patrick Mahomes with back-to-back Super Bowl MVPs. And the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty is officially official. But the San Francisco 49ers let victory out of their jaws last night in overtime, a thrilling game in overtime, and a game that started off kind of slow. But overall, I think it delivered in the fourth quarter and overtime. And a new NFL rule is at the focal point of the reaction on this Monday morning. The 49ers commit coaching malpractice in the Super Bowl's most critical moment that led to Kansas City's third Super Bowl in 4 years. We'll talk about it. We'll hear from Kyle Shanahan, the Niners head coach, after the game, and also what's been kind of discovered about who was prepared and who wasn't, Zach. So we'll get to overtime rules, a lot of back and forth, the best and worst part of that Super Bowl last night as well. And then the age game will send us home as it does every Monday to wrap up the show. So welcome in. Hope everybody enjoyed their Super Bowl Sunday. Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, we always talk about we're going to work every Monday after the Super Bowl, but I do think that, national holiday, that this is right around the time where it gets brought up. I am pro people being off on Monday because however many people watch the Super Bowl, and it is millions upon millions. We got a lot to get to, a lot to unpack. It was a very good game. Let's just talk about the game. It may not have been high scoring and 50-plus points, but tight, close to the end, overtime. And eventually the Chiefs, I don't know who anybody was going for, became victorious. So we got a lot to get to. As Austin said, we are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We will tweet out segment by segment, link by link on our Twitter/X handle at A to Z Sports. So give us a follow there on Twitter at A to Z Sports. We'll tweet out those YouTube links. That's the easiest way to watch and interact with our live streaming shows is on YouTube. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. If you've already hit the subscribe button, you can do 2 things. You can like this video. It helps the algorithm and get more people involved. And you can ring the bell. Well, you're like, Zach, what does that mean? Well, ringing the bell means that you have alerts on. So when we go live, you get the alert. Everybody's like, why are you late? Why are you guys always late? Why aren't you on time? Or just, groaning and moaning about that. Well, ring the bell. That's our reply. Ring the bell. And then when we go live, you get an alert. You can jump in the chat and you can get going. Facebook, what's going on? Facebookers, bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing. So share the show around. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. How that works is you guys share the show. So let's get this party started on a Monday. A sad Monday because pro football is over for a short period of time. But couple of weeks, the combine revs back up, and we got off-season work, right? So money never sleeps. Let's get this thing started.
Yeah, the NFL never sleeps either. All right, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. This is the Super Bowl content, but we got to thank our sponsors before we officially get it going here on this Monday. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process by seeing them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans at fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations across the mid-state in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. They're online at KrebsKubota.com. 25-22, the final score. Shout out BetMGM. The over closed at 47.5. And you hit 47 in overtime. No extra point is needed because it was a walk-off touchdown. So that's where we begin here as an epic finish, the second overtime Super Bowl ever. And it was pretty damn close to a second overtime, which is what a CBS official joked about this past week in Las Vegas leading up to this Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the Niners. Chiefs win 3 out of 4 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes, 28 years old, already has 3 under his belt. The inevitable was Patrick Mahomes, Zach. He didn't play that great early, made some big plays late, used his legs when he had to, and here you are. The new GOAT is on his way to maybe threatening Tom Brady here.
Well, I want to clarify. It's 5 years, right? So you had the Rams and the Bucks in between. So it's not 4, but they did 3 out of 5, which is impressive in its own right. And this is a dynasty, whatever you want to say. The Chiefs have been in it year after year. They're always good. They have the best quarterback at the best time, and he makes plays. And I think this will be a theme, at least for me this morning, is you've got to beat the best if you are going to be the best. That is a saying for a reason, especially in sports and especially in championship games. And the 49ers could not do that. You've got to go take the championship. They're not going to give it to you. And you've seen time after time, when the Chiefs get the ball down 3, down 6, down 7, and I'll go back to, and you're probably like, all right, Zach, stop talking about this. But I'll go back to the Titans' issues over the last several years is when they're down by 6 or 7 points with under a minute left and a timeout left, their best player is not their quarterback, has been their running back, Derrick Henry, and their best player is on the sideline. That's not the case for the Chiefs. Their best player has the ball in his hands every single play. And what did you see on 4th downs? What did you see on key 3rd downs? Patrick Mahomes, and look, Tony Romo said a lot of things and it was kind of annoying at a lot of times. But yes, one thing that I will give Tony some credit, he did call Nick Bosa Joey Bosa a number of times. But at the end, Romo got this right. Patrick Mahomes is going to get the ball. You're not going to hand off to Pacheco in the crucialist moment. You may hand off to Pacheco on 3rd down or 2nd down or short yardage, but they put Mahomes with the decision, and he had an option for Kelsey, your second best player. And so Andy Reid, who doesn't get, he gets a lot of credit, right? Because they're connected. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey takes up the internet space, but Andy Reid knows how to put his best players in the positions to thrive. And we saw that last night. And the Chiefs come away and get another championship. I think we're all worn down. That's just how it goes, but they earned it. The Chiefs won that game, and they took it from them. We'll talk about the nuances of overtime, but, man, there's another Super Bowl ring for a young quarterback that's trying to chase Tom Brady.
Well, and you look at the 2 key plays on that Chiefs game-winning overtime drive. The 4th and 1 you just mentioned, brilliant play call. It was perfect, right? You set up options. You keep the ball in your best player's hand to let that guy make a play. And then the touchdown to McCall Hardman was also very similar. Basically the same type of motion that Andy Reid called up last year in the Super Bowl against the Eagles to hide. Last year it was Tony, who was inactive today or yesterday. This year it was Hardman. Hide him right behind, make the corner's eyes go inside. It's brilliant. It's perfect. It was wide open. As soon as I saw that, as soon as I saw Hardman break out to the flats after that motion, I just go, damn it. Verbally.
You knew it was going to the flats.
Yep.
Pick plays. We've seen Julian Edelman. This is how you score by throwing the football in the goal line. It's either a pick play or really good motion. They didn't have, you look at Travis Kelsey, he didn't even have to touch the guy. It was such a well drawn up play that beat the defensive call that you knew it was going to be a touchdown and it was over. You kind of felt that when he got that 1st down with inside the 5. It was like, well, they got too many downs to score and close this game. And they ended up doing that. And another championship goes to KC.
And because, of course, we spent the very beginning of the show talking about the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, which is true. Patrick Mahomes wouldn't be here without that defense that Kansas City has of being able to force field goals from the Niners, force a fumble, just playing really damn good football. And Chris Jones making Brock Purdy throw early on 3rd and 4 in overtime the series before, where Jauan Jennings was about to break open at that pylon, but Chris Jones had 6 pressures on the night and half of those pressures were under 2 seconds. Brock Purdy didn't have a ton of time right there. It was half a beat later. Maybe it's another touchdown for the Niners, and that changes up a little bit of the dynamic there in overtime. But let's get to that about overtime, because today's title of the show, something that I feel very passionate about, that the 49ers committed coaching malpractice in the Super Bowl's most critical moment that led to the Chiefs win, is because Kyle Shanahan and the Niners won the overtime coin toss and decided to receive the ball first. So did some, Twitter gazing this morning, and I saw this from The Ringer. This is where The Ringer's Arif Hassan published this. I'll go in chronological order. Here's the Andy Reid version of it. The Chiefs' overtime plan worked out exactly how they had hoped, and it wasn't by accident. Kansas City safety Justin Reid told The Ringer that the Chiefs had first discussed the new overtime rules as far back as training camp. D lineman Chris Jones told Hassan that players were prepared for what to expect at the Super Bowl when into overtime. Quote from Jones: "We talked through this for 2 weeks, how we was going to give the ball to the opponent if they scored. We was going for 2 at the end of the game. We rehearsed it." And then you've got Kyle Shanahan's player. We was. I mean, look, I'm just quoting the quote.
I know. You're just reading. I get it. But
I'm just reading. I'm just reading what the man said. Look, he went to Mississippi State, so you can take all this.
Oh, there we go. Now we knew that. We knew. Yeah. Okay. Makes perfect sense. Now it makes perfect sense. You can move forward. We cracked the case.
All right. The 49ers did not do the same. Multiple Niners players said after the game they were not aware of the overtime rules, are different in the playoffs than they are in the regular season, and strategy discussions over how to handle the overtime period did not occur as a team. D lineman Arik Armstead said he learned the details of the postseason rule when it was shown on the Allegiant Stadium Jumbotron during a TV timeout after regulation. Fullback Kyle Juszczyk said he assumed the Niners asked to receive when they won the toss because that's what you do in the regular season when a touchdown wins the game. I guess that's not the case, Juszczyk said. I don't really know the strategy. So, my goodness, that is coaching malpractice right there from the San Francisco 49ers. But Kyle Shanahan was asked about it post-game, and here's what the head coach of San Fran had to say.
It's just something we talked about with, none of us have a ton of experience of it, but we went through all the analytics and talked with those guys, and we just thought it'd be better. We wanted the ball third. If both teams matched and scored, we wanted to be the ones who had the chance to go win, and we got that field goal, so we knew we had to hold them to at least to a field goal, and if we did, then we felt it was in our hands after that.
So we wanted the ball third. Like, what are you worrying about third for? Like, you got to be able to get the ball and use your advantage. So, Zach, I don't know how you feel about that, but I think coaching malpractice, the title holds true here.
The Chiefs knew about this rule because that's why the rule was created, right? The 49ers had nothing to do with this rule. And if players are saying they didn't know about the rule, I looked the rule up to start overtime. I Googled it. I made sure I understood the ins and outs because on the broadcast, they said the same thing that, and even, you look at what the referee said, we start a new game. What does that mean? I've never heard that. That was the first time I'd ever heard in overtime, we're starting a new game. So I went to Google. Now, players don't have this luxury, right? They can't go get on their cell phones and Google it like we all do. But I made sure I understood the rule, and I actually thought about that. I was like, maybe that's probably not the right strategy. Now, initially, I feel like in the stadium, when whoever wins the coin toss, it's like, oh, yeah, they're going to get the ball. That's probably not the best strategy. Now, here is something that I think you could combat that with. The 49ers defense could have been gassed, right? Mm-hmm. They had just been on the field for, and I'd have to look up the number of plays, but it was probably like close to 10. That could have been the strategy, right? Is that our defense was so gassed from the drive prior that they needed a break. And, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. So obviously Zach's Wi-Fi not having the best of days. Maybe the Wi-Fi's hungover from Super Bowl
I think the
Sunday, but
Wi-Fi went to Mississippi State, I guess.
maybe so. I don't know if you want to switch to a hotspot or something. I can carry the show for the time being, but I think it's pretty clear to me that the spin of Kyle Shanahan. I'll play it one more time for what Kyle Shanahan said about the overtime decision after the game.
It's just something we talked about with, none of us have a ton of experience of it, but we went through all the analytics and talked with those guys, and we just thought it'd be better. We wanted the ball third. If both teams matched and scored, we wanted to be the ones who had the chance to go win, and we got that field goal, so we knew we had to hold them to at least to a field goal, and if we did, then we felt it was in our hands after that.
All right, so I blatantly disagree with that decision by Kyle Shanahan. So I've got reasons why, but I do want to get the audience more involved this morning. Hopefully, Zach's connection has cleaned up a little bit here. So let's ask this question, Zach. What's the biggest reason why the 49ers lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs? What is the biggest reason why the 49ers lost the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs? But first, I'm going to tell everybody about our great friends at Krebs Kubota. They are an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations across the mid-states. That means elite Kubota dealer means they have the best equipment, the best warranties in the industry when it comes to getting your equipment. They also have the best customer service because the Krebs family name has been doing this for 18 plus years. You don't just become a family-owned and operated company and last 18 years in the equipment business and expand from one location in Columbia to 2 more, adding Franklin and Murfreesboro along the way. The Krebs group, they do it phenomenally well, making sure that you have the right relationship for your equipment. So whatever it is, big or small, around your home, around your property, for your business, you need to buy the equipment, you need to rent it for a weekend project. They got you covered. Check them out online at KrebsKubota.com.
A to Z Sports, I switched over to a hotspot. We'll see if that works. So now we can complain instead of one provider, another provider. But one provider that can help you win some money, maybe it helps you last night, is BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today. Bonus code ATOZ Sports, the king of sportsbook. They can hook you up. Won some and lost some last night. I lost more than I won because I was on the 49ers money line. I was on the under, which helped. But lots of bets going out. Christian McCaffrey did not get the rushing yards that I needed, and Travis Kelce didn't get in the end zone. But I thank BetMGM for giving me the opportunity and got some boosts. You got NBA action still ahead, college basketball on the horizon, so download the app today.
All right, so what was the biggest reason why the Niners lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl yesterday? I want Zach, I'll send you to the chat here, and then I'll go deeper into why I still think it's because of this terrible coaching decision that Kyle Shanahan had in overtime to not give the ball to Kansas City first. But what's the chat saying this morning on the biggest reason why?
Yeah, Eric gets the love of the show. I got that Niners Wi-Fi. Starts strong, then goes weak. That's kind of how I feel so far. Let's see here. What was the biggest reason? Missed extra point. This is something that did change the trajectory of the game, right? And how both sides played the game, because the Chiefs went down there and scored. Then the 49ers came down there, and as a 3-point game, that's a big difference, right? So Randy, I think coming in there, Chiefs defense coming in there from Deborah, play calling in overtime, blocked extra point, red zone offense, not aggressive enough in the fourth quarter and overtime. Third quarter play calling from King. Purdy game management from Stevie. Soft zone defense, plain and simple. That's why they lost from TJ. The punt returner turnover. That definitely was impactful, right? Turnovers gave the Chiefs a touchdown, boom, like that.
Yeah. So on that one, let's give Ray McLeod some credit here. He had to, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, man, that guy's going to be victimized by a lot of people who didn't see that it went off his teammate's foot, right? And so, Ray McLeod, why are you trying to pick that football up on that punt return? So I get, I want to make that clear so Ray doesn't just have nightmares about that for the rest of his life. So he had to do what he had to do there. So, yeah, I think that's only fair.
Upon further review, that's absolutely correct.
Yes.
Greenlaw's Achilles snap. That was very impactful, right? Now, one player, but he is that guy. I mean, he's been making plays all year round, and that's devastating for that happen. You know what that is
But
a
that's not the
product
reason
of?
why.
No. And that's Jody's comment. That's on the coach. You go back to coaching malpractice, Austin. A coach making sure his players are not too hyped up. Because if you saw him, that's why he got injured. He was so just ready to get back in there. And that's a coach saying, calm nerves. The Chiefs had been there before numerous times. The 49ers, there had been a gap before they had been to the Super Bowl. That's on the coach.
Yeah, I agree. And if you go back and watch the Kansas City Chiefs' first 3 offensive plays, watch after the play was over. Dre Greenlaw was flexing, juiced up, loud, shaking his head, headbutting a teammate. And I immediately go, he's going to wear himself out like real fast. But in that, it was because he was too jacked up and he had that quick move and pop the Achilles. You hate to see it, but I completely agree with you on that one.
And Steven says, simply one team has Patrick Mahomes and the other one doesn't. And Austin, in these big games, Stephen Wood is absolutely correct. Isn't it those playmakers that we see year in and year out make a difference in the biggest games?
Sure.
That is my answer. Like, I'll just go ahead and give my answer because Stephen Wood says it. It's Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is better than you. And he always has been, right? Like with you giving him the football, you could sit there and say the 49ers, I spoke about it early on and say like the 49ers have got to beat the Chiefs, and they had opportunities in the red zone to capitalize, but they came away with field goals. And that's not going to cut it. That you are not going to beat the defending Super Bowl champions with field goals when Patrick Mahomes is on the other side of the football. So Stephen Wood, one team has Patrick Mahomes and the other one doesn't. That has been proven game after game after game that we've seen. Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, the biggest play of the game, whoop, drop. Third down, dime, over the top to seal it. He makes the plays that nobody else does and that Brock Purdy couldn't. Because Brock Purdy on that third down could have sealed the game. 3rd and 4, the 49ers could have closed it out. Those are the type
Chris
of
Jones
plays.
got in the way.
But those are the type of plays that Patrick Mahomes seems to always make, and the other ones don't.
Look, Mahomes, he didn't win the MVP until the very end, right? Like it was like Patrick Mahomes was.
Well, who won the game at the very end?
No, I understand. That's what I'm saying. But he wasn't that great. Like there was a time when Tony Romo was complimenting Patrick Mahomes after he made an inaccurate throw because of he felt the arm. He feels everything. Like we know Patrick Mahomes is phenomenal, but he wasn't playing that great early on. He throws the pick on the first drive of the third quarter that was absolutely atrocious. He was getting hit early. He was making a couple bad decisions on running, using his legs. And when the clock was running down in regulation, there was some not great Patrick Mahomes decisions, but in the end, he overcame it and he made
when the lights are the brightest. When the lights are the brightest, no one cares about your interceptions. Nobody cares about your poor decisions in the first and second quarter. They care about the fourth and overtime.
Totally.
And that's where Patrick Mahomes singularly always thrives. Always.
Right. But here's my biggest reason why the Niners lost was because of their head coach, Kyle Shanahan. I'm not going to butcher the saying, but the whole thing about fool me once and fool me twice. And how about it 3 times? How about 3 times for Kyle Shanahan being in this situation and coming up 0-for? Double-digit lead in all 3 Super Bowls as an offensive coordinator or a head coach, and he's 0-for-3. This is not just like, that was a historical comeback by Tom Brady, 28-3. Well, it's because he had Jimmy G. Oh, no, okay. No, this is a Kyle Shanahan thing. Kyle Shanahan blew it again for the 3rd time. And it's not just about the overtime. I'm going to go in on the overtime thing too. But what are you doing for the first 2 drives you have of the second half, throwing the ball 6 consecutive times and gaining -2 yards? Then he ran the ball once, which was the most predictable Derrick Henry handoff situation you could possibly expect to get 0 yards. Now you got to throw it. So you start the second half by throwing the football 8 out of 9 times, and you gain -2 yards. And so I think it's just it's a Kyle Shanahan thing that he gets super tight in the rear end at the worst possible moment because he is a brilliant mind. He is really damn good. He has a coaching tree that everybody wants a piece of for a reason. But in the moment, it's not about your coaching tree. It's not about what you do in the week. It's not about how good you are at scheming things up. It's about keeping yourself cool and knowing the situations and how to put yourself in the right place in those situations. And Kyle Shanahan is whiffed 0 for 3 times now. And I want to go back and play his audio or video about what he said about wanting the third possession in overtime and just why that's flat out wrong.
It's just something we talked about with, none of us have a ton of experience of it, but we went through all the analytics and talked with those guys, and we just thought it'd be better. We wanted the ball third. If both teams matched and scored, we wanted to be the ones who had the chance to go win, and we got that field goal, so we knew we had to hold them to at least to a field goal, and if we did, then we felt it was in our hands after that.
Every college football fan watching that game knows that if both teams get a possession in overtime, you want the ball second. We've been through this a million times for generations. You want the ball second so you know and have the best ability to dictate how that's going to go. Because he said we wanted the ball third. Well, Chris Jones just already exposed that. We were going to go for 2 at the end of the game if they scored a touchdown first, right? So Kyle Shanahan played himself. Here's also, let's just take the same exact drives, Zach. The same drives the Niners had and the same drive that the Chiefs had in overtime and flip them. Let's say the Chiefs got the ball. It's 4th and 1 in your own territory. I still think the Chiefs go for it on 4th down, but you have to at least make them think it, right? Then they get down there. They start, getting close and close. Now you're on 3rd down when they scored the touchdown. So you're still having to make them make decisions, and they scored a touchdown, right? But here's where it's different. Look at the Niners drive. Let's say the Chiefs go down there, the exact same drive, score a touchdown after going for it on 4th down like they did. The Niners have 3rd and 4 at the 9-yard line. They aren't taking a shot at the end zone on 3rd and 4 from the 9. They've got 2 downs because they have to get a touchdown. They got 2 downs to get 4 yards to set up another set of 4 more downs for 1st and goal at the 5 or inside. That is why Kyle Shanahan is blatantly wrong with all this strategy. I don't know who his analytics guys are, but that's not a good way to play that thing. You want the ball second in that situation so you have the best ability to match or get what you have to have in those first 2 possessions so there isn't a 3rd possession. Right? Am I wrong?
I think you're right. I thought it was 3rd and 4, right? 3rd and 4. This is your crucial down. They are on the 9-yard line.
Yeah.
Right. I thought, now, I don't know why I thought this. I thought they were going to run the football. I thought that you're going to put yourself into just another situation of decision-making to possibly, if you get it, it's a 1st down. If you don't, it's probably going to be 4th and 3, 2 or 1, right? Christian McCaffrey probably going to get you 1 or 2 yards. May not get the 1st down, but now you're at 4th and 2, 4th and 1 inside your own 10-yard line or inside their own 10-yard line. And now I think you're a little bit more justified to go for it on 4th down because the Chiefs then have to drive 90 yards. Now, they got a field goal if you miss it.
Yeah.
But you take all of that away, going back to what you're saying is the decision of not playing defense first. But Austin, I would say this, and this is what I mentioned earlier. I do think that the defense being gassed was impactful in that decision. Now, he hasn't said that. I believe that because that was a long drive for the 49ers defense. It was 11 plays, 64 yards. They were on the field for 11 plays the drive before.
Yeah, but it was in a minute 50. And we know this.
No. A minute 50 is like 15 minutes when it comes down to that.
But Zach, yes, but we also know that the break between overtime into regulation and the start of overtime for the Super Bowl is a lot longer because you got to squeeze extra commercials in there to get the extra revenue.
It's
right?
not like halftime. That doesn't
does
matter.
it? But Zach, you're missing the point here. It doesn't matter.
I don't think that justifies everything.
It should matter.
But that I definitely think it influenced it.
It shouldn't, because you still want to know, do I have 4 downs every set of downs because I have to have a touchdown, or do I just have to play for a field goal? That's the difference maker. It doesn't matter if Patrick Mahomes scores 1 play, 2 plays, 70 yards for a touchdown in overtime, or if they go 12 plays for a touchdown in overtime. You still know what you have to have on the other side of it. It's still the wrong decision. Third series, your defense is gassed. I don't give a damn. It's wrong. And he lost his 3rd Super Bowl because
I understand that. I think a bigger X factor is what Chris Jones mentioned is you not only get 4 downs to score, you get the extra down to win. Right?
Yeah.
You have now as a coach, what do you want? You want the decisions. You don't want other guys, especially Andy Reid, multi-Super Bowl winning head coach, taking your decisions away from you. And that's essentially what happened. So pass happy, which I don't get. Like, the fool me once, fool me again. Why are you getting pass happy with Brock Purdy and you traded the best Christian McCaffrey? I was paying attention to this because I had him over 90 rushing yards, and he didn't get there because they wouldn't run the damn football.
It's because the Patrick Mahomes turnover, right? He threw an interception to start the half.
They didn't get any points off of it.
No, I know. You know why? Why did he get pass happy? Because everybody knows, turnover, kill shot, right? He got instead of playing and getting yardage and getting yourself in a scoring position, he got that Patrick Mahomes interception, and they threw a short pass incomplete on 1st down, but they wanted to go deep. They
did to Debo, shot. And it was incomplete. Good coverage too.
Right. And so they wanted that kill shot after the INT, and the Chiefs are ready for it because the Chiefs don't give up kill shots. The longest play for the Niners all game long was the swing pass to McCaffrey that was 24 yards, and it was all catch and run. And so, no, not even that one, not even the touchdown from Jauan Jennings. It was the one in overtime when Purdy, ditched it out there on 3rd and have to have it or whatever it was. And so Kyle Shanahan lost the game. And when I'm looking at this and I'm reading these quotes from Arik Armstead, learning the new rules on the Jumbotron, and Kyle Juszczyk, who is an all-pro fullback who's been around this thing for a while, said he assumed because it's what you do in the regular season. I guess that's not the case. I don't really know the strategy. That is an indictment on Kyle Shanahan for not having his team prepared. And then you go look at all the Chiefs players saying, we talked about this in training camp. You know what the funniest part of this whole thing? We talked about this in training camp. Every Chiefs player except for McCole Hardman, because McCole Hardman was with the Jets. That's the funniest part of all this. He wasn't there. He didn't talk about it.
Robert Saleh doesn't practice that because he's not going to get into these situations.
So again, I very confidently feel that it's about Kyle Shanahan here. So you say the biggest reason why is because Patrick Mahomes was the guy, and he is the guy to go down there and win the game. But Kyle Shanahan gave him the opportunity to do that when he could have had the opportunity in his hands, in his decision-making, but he botched it for the 3rd time.
Yeah, history shows what happens, and both things are true. Kyle Shanahan in big games, not very good. And Patrick Mahomes in big games, very, very good.
Yes, no doubt about that. All right, Zach, let's go get to this. We like to do this every Monday after the Super Bowl. What was the best and the worst part about the Super Bowl versus Chiefs and 49ers? What was the best and worst part about the Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the 49ers? But first, tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com is where to go to get your new health plan. I got my new health plan a number of years ago, and I'm glad that I did. Health, dental, and vision. Farm Bureau Health Plans can help and has helped Tennesseans all across the state for over 75 years, 200 plus locations with a ton of agents across the state of Tennessee. If you are a Tennessean, this is something that you need to look at for you and your family. I'm glad that me and my family did this. Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee, they've been a great partner. They continue to be a great partner for A to Z Sports. That's why we endorse them. All you got to do is get a health assessment, and then you get a quote. Once you get a quote, you assess the health assessment, you assess the quote, and you decide. You're not forced to do anything. I looked at it and I said, look, I'm saving 20% every single month, and it's a better health plan than I previously had. I'm glad that I did it. That's Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee, fbhp.com/ATOZ. Visit online today.
All right. Also with BetMGM, you can win big with that first bet offer. That's ATOZ Sports. That's the bonus code you need to use when you sign up with the BetMGM app, because you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if that first bet misses. So check them out and download that app, because it's basketball season. It's hoop times. This is when I always win big with BetMGM each and every year. February college hoops is my go-to right there. So download the app, use our code ATOZ Sports, and you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligible requirements. First online room money wager only. Rewards issued not double bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem game sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Zach, I'll send you to the chat. Best and worst. What was the best and worst part of the Super Bowl yesterday between the Chiefs and the Niners? What's the chat saying here?
And this is fun because you get all things. You go halftime, you go commercials, you go all this. American Tough goes Dunk Kings, talking about Ben Affleck, Tom Brady, and Matt Damon. That was really good. Worst was the Chiefs winning. Usher was the best. We'll talk about Usher and his performance. It had throwback vibes that made me feel like I was in high school, I think in a good way. I thought it was a very good halftime show. A good game. Scott says the best part. I mean, it was a good game. Sometimes you don't get good games. Best commercial.
So you made the thumbnail. Say overtime thriller, and Jacob on Twitter is like, thriller's a stretch. And I'm like, what? Like we were like 12 seconds away from double overtime in the Super Bowl. Like who doesn't think that was an overtime?
There was literally like 25 minutes where you had no idea who was going to win the game.
Yes. Yeah.
It may not have been 50-54, but it was I mean, I characterized that, I thought, correctly. Worst was the halftime performance. I mean, that was that. The Dunkin' Donuts commercial was the best. The worst was New Dynasty, which is the Chiefs, I guess. Alicia Keys from Pig right there. Jauan Jennings balling at best, getting the game-winning drive was the worst by Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to read that one. Let's see. Best part was the defense showed up to play for the most part. Jake also says Alicia Keys. The worst was Kelsey bumping old man Reed. I wanted to ask you this. Fair or foul, Travis Kelsey doing that to Andy Reid? They kept showing it in frustration after Pacheco fumbled and Kelsey wasn't in the game.
I mean, it's always
fair
foul.
Or foul.
It's always foul for how over the top Travis Kelsey was, but I also think it's very blown out of proportion. Like, I don't think Travis Kelsey and Andy Reid are going to remember that or care about it now. I think it's like way out of proportion is what the reaction got, but of course it was foul. Like, you shouldn't do that.
I think with certain relationships, and Travis Kelsey being who Travis Kelsey is, he's an emotional player. That was a sign of emotion. I think it's fair. I think Andy Reid reacted as if it was fair because he just didn't care.
He didn't care. But he still shouldn't do it. Like, you still should not just shoulder check your 66-year-old head coach. That should not be anything you.
Yeah, but we also don't know why. Like, they know the ins and outs and the nuances of the play calls and what that was. So we don't know why truly Travis Kelsey, because Travis Kelsey,
you shouldn't shoulder check him. Like, you shouldn't put him into the boards like you're playing hockey. Like, come on.
Well, hey, you got to make sure that he feels you so he doesn't do it again.
Dropped the Waffle House menu and everything.
You got Deadpool 3, so you had a lot of promotion of different movies. I'm going to get to mine, which did have to do with the commercials. But Austin, what is you can go best or worst?
Yeah, well, if I'm going to say I'm going to start with the worst. Tony Romo sucks. Tony Romo's not any good. Like, he's not. Like, Tony Romo's announcing career is going exactly how his pro football career went. He comes out strong. You're like, oh my gosh, this guy's so fun. And then he gets boring. And now you're like, oh, now he's just annoying. Tony Romo ruined the end of that game. Jim Nantz tried to do what you're supposed to do. When a championship is won and you're on the television broadcast, you shut up. You stop talking. You let the moment breathe. You want to hear the actual sound that's going on between the players, the fans, the reaction. You want to hear the embracing. You want to know all of this stuff. But Tony Romo would not stop talking. And as soon as that game was over, I'm like, thank God. Now we don't have to hear Romo just give like rambling analysis nonstop. Like, he is, I wonder if CBS regrets the long-term contract of what he got paid, because he's getting worse at his job. It's no longer cute. It's no longer new and fresh. It is now just overbearing. Tony Romo and the Temu commercials were tied for the most annoying things throughout that entire broadcast.
Tony Romo, you're absolutely correct. And you know what they called this early on is Tony Romo was so good out of the gates because he was teaching us about the game because he just left the game. Well, the game is past him, right? Now that he hadn't played in a long, long time. The schemes are different, and he doesn't give you the same value, in my opinion, right? It was cool when he would say, I thought it was very impressive when he's like, you've got two eye coverage. This is what's going to happen. You've got Kelsey in the flat because this is the play that you should call if you're a head coach based on the coverage. He's doing less of that, and he's just fumbling. Like,
he's a caricature. He's become a caricature of himself. Like, I think his analysis is still fine. I think how quickly he can diagnose what happened with the defense and the coverage and all this stuff is still valuable. But now he has got
being overridden by him saying, "Oh, Mr. Irrelevant," or irrelevant, and Jim's like, "We got you, Tony. I think we all know what you mean."
And then
like,
at the very end, like, "I love you, Jim," and Jim's just like, "Love you too, Tony." Like, has to, like, he had to say it back because Tony just said, "I love you" on the Super Bowl postgame broadcast. Like, it's so bad. It's so bad.
All right, I'm going to start with my best. And this is something that I did not feel got the credit it deserved, because I think singularly this was the best commercial, I think, in the last several years. I laughed out loud, and maybe it's because of my age and what it made me think about. But Michael Cera doing this commercial was hilarious. This was the best commercial. Like, him pitching this to the board and like him massaging Mike Cera massaging Cera. Like, it was funny. It like, he has a beard now, which is kind of weird, right? We hadn't seen him in a while. Like, he's halfway grown up, but he still looks like, he's 15. Like, Michael Cera in the CeraVe commercial was the funniest. Like, I laughed, and it was early on. That was the best part. That set the tone. It actually like made my spirits a little high. I looked it up on Twitter. There's an extended version, which is even funnier. And so like that is my best. And it had nothing to do with the game, not the halftime show. It was Michael Cera. He made me laugh on a Sunday that I would not otherwise laugh, because there are some bad commercials, just like there always is. But to fork out the money of a moisturizing cream, the $5 to $7 million, I also give kudos. But that was the best part to me.
It was good. It was very good. While we're on the topic, my favorite commercial, just because it's a pan personal, was the Christopher Walken commercial of just everybody trying to do his impression, because I truly believe that's what happened to Chris. That's what happens to him in his daily life. He just walks by and people are just doing him, and he's just like, that's me. Yes. And I thought that was, because that reminded me of like in college when you're sitting in your living room and you're watching a Christopher Walken movie, and then everybody just bounces off the room for the next hour of doing it. And then you're like, okay, all right, we need to stop so we can just move on with our day. But I thought that was the best commercial overall.
To the worst, and you mentioned it, I thought this meme was pretty funny. It was Temu, their marketing manager, buying 3 ads during the Super Bowl, just lighting the money on fire. That got annoying. It wasn't a great commercial. It was really nobody had really heard of the company. And like, yeah, that I thought was the worst. What did you think about the halftime show? Because you get a little bit mixed reviews. It wasn't like, oh, that halftime show was awful. I don't think I really saw any of that. I compare it, and I thought Rihanna was superb last year. That was a top Super Bowl performance with what she did and just the high flying, being all over the field. That was one of the best Super Bowl halftimes that I think I can remember. Prince was pretty awesome too. But I thought Usher was good. I thought he was good. Like, I wouldn't say like it was great. I thought he was good though. It was good to see old Little John and Ludacris.
Yeah, I mean, Butch Jones had a hell of a night with that third down for what comeback and Jauan Jennings stuff. But I thought it was very good. Like, in halftime shows at the Super Bowl are all about the nostalgia that you get from a particular set of audience, right? And we've talked about this in the past. I can't remember if it was last year, if it was the LA Super Bowl when you had Snoop and Dre and that whole group come in. Like, to me, that one is the one that I'm going to remember the longest. I'm going to remember Prince, and I'm going to remember the LA Snoop and Dre West Coast rap halftime the longest and refer back to those. I'm going to forget everything else in between. Yes, Rihanna did it by herself last year. I do remember that because it was just 366 days ago. So I know that. But Usher was really good because he hit our generation's middle school and high school. And that's what they're trying to target, that, because I heard those songs that we played at the prom or whatever else that puts you in that moment of nostalgia. And then you see Luda come out with a big fro, because the last time we've seen Luda's on his commercials with State Farm, and he's got a shaved head and all that. So you see Lil Jon, you see everybody, Alicia Keys, great. Like, it's just really good. Usher's still got it. Now, he's been doing this in Vegas this whole time. He's been doing his show there, but he's still got it.
It actually spurred me to go look at the history of the Super Bowl or halftime show, and it's kind of funny of what the strategy is, and it all goes back to money. After Janet Jackson, they went super old, like Paul McCartney, The Who, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty. Like, they were targeting the 50-year-old crowd, maybe late 40s to 50-year-old crowd. Now that they've gone more older pop and R&B, they're targeting 30 and 40-year-olds that have disposable income, that when they watch those commercials will go purchase what they are actually advertising for. So, like, it's all psychology. That's what advertising is, which is pretty, I'm infatuated by it. But, like, you can see what they're doing. And the 30 and 40-year-olds are just diving into the Rihanna, the Usher, the Snoop Dogg that we all grew up with at that point, because now we, have wives and kids and have money because we're in the midst of our careers.
Yeah, and then people like Rooney showed their age in a comment like, you need some rock and roll at halftime. Def Leppard, AC/DC, Kiss, like, they did that. They did that already. They did it. And now, like, all of those people probably aren't pulling off the same type of shows in their current age like Usher is in his current age. Like, and I thought it was really good. Like, is it the best of all time? I don't know. Is it the worst of all time? Absolutely not. Like, it was very good, but I think everybody
was impressive. Like,
role
like that. I thought that was really unique. That was good.
Yes, it absolutely was good. All right, A to Z Sports here live on this Monday, reacting to the Super Bowl. I haven't gone to my official best yet, but I've done my worst, which was Tony Romo. I'm going to get to my best here from last night's game, Super Bowl 58, the Chiefs winning over the Niners. More of your best and worst here in a second. But first, the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should go whenever that injury pops up in life. You never want to have that injury just linger. That sucks. So go get it checked out and use all of the experts at the Bone and Joint Institute under one roof with all the resources in Franklin, right off of I-65. So whenever you've got an injury, go get it checked out. They've got the clinics, the imaging, all the different surgery centers and the rehab under one roof off I-65 in Franklin with over a dozen experts that can help you out regardless of what your injury is. If it's you, if it's your son or daughter playing youth sports or just life in general, the Bone and Joint Institute will help you out. Easy to book an appointment at boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. We love BetMGM. I would hold up my phone, but it's propped up with my hotspot, and I'm not going to touch it because I feel like I have improved over the course of my – yeah, there you go. Austin will. Download the app today right there on BetMGM in your Apple or Android app store. Bonus code ATOZ Sports. They got great bonus bets for the big game over the weekend and yesterday. They've got more bonus and promotions heading into NBA All-Star Weekend, college basketball play as March Madness is right around the corner. BetMGM, download the app. They're a great sponsor here on our A to Z Sports Morning Show.
All right, so I will admit I wanted the Niners to win the Super Bowl. I have Patrick Mahomes fatigue. I have Travis Kelce fatigue. It had nothing to do with Taylor Swift. I like Andy Reid, but I am over Patrick Mahomes winning trophies and his defense not getting as much credit as they deserve, and Patrick Mahomes is the only thing that's talked about. I am over that. But so my best thing about that game was kind of a personal connection of watching Jauan Jennings have the type of game that he did on the world's biggest stage. I just thought that was cool. And Zach, you and I got our start in our careers kind of covering high school football, and I thought I was about to witness a Super Bowl MVP that I covered as a high school athlete. Because if Chris Jones didn't beat his man that quickly, I think Brock Purdy was going to throw his second touchdown pass to Jauan Jennings in that end zone. And I thought Jauan Jennings with 3 total touchdowns was the shoe-in for the Niners champion MVP selection. Because everybody in that press box was watching how well Jauan Jennings was playing and how impactful he was in that game. And I think Jauan is somebody who's just a freaking good football player. He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest. He's not the best route runner, but he's just a really good football player. He blocks. He draws penalties on the defense. He makes incredible catches. He makes missed tackles created. He almost blocked a punt early in the game. I don't know if people saw that or not. He got pretty close on that. And then he threw a touchdown pass in the game. That was my best thing, was because I was watching that, and I watched Jauan Jennings as a senior at Blackman when he was the quarterback and the starting safety, playing every snap, scoring 6 touchdowns, and carrying his team to a win against a good Independence team. And I was like, man, that Jauan Jennings, I'm glad that he earned a bunch of money because he's a 7th-round pick. People doubted him. He earned a bunch of money.
Well, Austin, he had to step up because one guy who really wasn't talked about was nowhere to be found. The last 2 games, where's George Kittle? Two receptions, 27 yards against the Lions, 2 receptions, 4 yards in the Super Bowl. George Kittle's supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be the man. He's supposed to be in the same sentence as Travis Kelce. He's nowhere to be found. So Jauan Jennings did what George Kittle, and look, you talk about a shoulder injury. He didn't hurt his shoulder till late. They did not target George Kittle. Am I a little upset because I had him over 46 receiving yards? Yeah, I am. But that's why I was paying attention. They didn't target him. They didn't get him involved. He was nowhere to be. And so Jennings, to his credit, because you have to credit Jennings, they adapted, and he was the focal point. But very disappointed in George Kittle, who's supposed to be this unbelievable top 5 tight end. And over the last 2 weeks, he'd been a bottom 5 tight end.
But I don't think that means George Kittle's playing bad. I think George Kittle,
if you are going to be the man at tight end, you got to do more than block. We all know that George Kittle's an unbelievable run blocker, right? He's good pass protection, right? But George Kittle in the tight end position today, I really thought that impacted negatively the 49ers offense because Debo goes down with an injury. Now, he came back, but he's obviously not 100%.
Yeah.
You've got to rely on the guys. And George Kittle, I thought over the last 2 weeks was very disappointing.
Right, but I also look at, the Niners also had a couple O-line injuries as well, so that means Kittle had to block longer. Like Brock Purdy was getting pressured, which means, but that's what George Kittle represents. Like George Kittle is not like the Travis Kelce numbers tight end. He is the all-around
He's
tight end.
more 2 receptions for 4
No,
yards
I'm
and
not,
2
yeah,
receptions for 27 yards. That's not George Kittle.
for sure. But why I never bet George Kittle props is because it's inconsistent. He's either getting 3 catches for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns, or like 1 or 2 for 10 to 20. And because
this is the game that you get 75 yards. If you're the man, look, we talk about George Kittle being a top 5 tight end. I don't like your retort. I agree with to a degree, right? Like I understand the highs and lows of George Kittle. What I'm saying is that we talk about George Kittle in the top 5 air. And if you're going to be talked about like that in the biggest moments, you have to play like that.
But I also think I don't hold that against George Kittle. I think that is what the Niners needed George Kittle to do in that particular game.
No, they needed him to make plays.
Then they would have called direct plays for George Kittle, but they didn't. That's my point.
If you are a top 5 tight end, like we speak of George Kittle, you find it's just like Kelce. Kelce was so aggravated because he had 1 target for 1 yard on a screen pass in the second play of the game, and that's why he went up and chest bumped and started yelling at his coach, said, "Give me the damn ball." And
he chest bumped his coach because Noah Gray missed the block that created the Pacheco fumble, and Kelce was on the sideline saying, "I would have made that block."
And that Travis Kelce stirs the drink because he's a top 5 tight end, right? What I'm saying is that we speak of George Kittle in this air. I just think that he needs to play. And you can block even if he had four targets for 57 yards or 50 yards. You can't have 4 yards. That's my problem.
I agree. I agree. And I don't know when the shoulder injury happened, but he came back out and if you notice, when they put number 9 in there on that one play that 9 was in there holding 9, and who the hell is that guy? Something bad's going to happen with him. And it did. So, and I saw Orlando says Juszczyk got all of Kittle's targets. And that's what seemed like what happened is that George Kittle was needed for a different role in that game, and Juszczyk took advantage of it, and Jauan Jennings absolutely did. Jauan Jennings, I thought, do you think if the Niners won that game, let's just say the Chiefs can't score in overtime, and it's 22-19, do you think Jauan Jennings is the MVP?
Yeah. If Jauan Jennings scores again,
no. I'm saying it's 22-19. I'm saying that the Niners stopped the Chiefs at 22-19.
Yeah. You have yes. Jauan Jennings is MVP. Yeah,
because
I think so.
McCaffrey had 180
yards and he caught the touchdown from Jennings, right? So Jennings has 2 impactful things, and Christian McCaffrey, don't get me wrong, was very impactful to
160 yards.
But yeah, I think Jauan Jennings wins the MVP.
And
he becomes like a Jennings.
Jauan Jennings, man.
Touchdown pass and touchdown catch.
Nick Foles, Jauan Jennings and Nick Foles for all of your future trivia questions at trivia night in your life. Jauan Jennings, Nick Foles, the only 2 players in NFL history to catch and throw a touchdown in a Super Bowl.
The old Niners special now.
Yeah,
good thing we're not.
Well, it was a Butch Jones special. It was the same thing he threw to Josh Dobbs against Florida back in the day. And look, those Tennessee lost that game just like the Niners lost that one too. So, all right, Zach, let's go ahead and get to our end of show topic, which is the age game on a Monday. The keys are in your hand for the age game. We'll get to that in a second. But first, shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Speaking of keys, you can get new keys to your new ride at Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Save some money by seeing them in Lebanon or check them out online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Zach, my chat is hidden. So what's the age game you got here today?
I think this, again, I'm not tossing you softballs, but they're not They're not 99 mile per hours. I think this is something that the chat can do, and I think that you can do.
Okay.
So I went nostalgia. We talked about nostalgia with Usher and nostalgia with my favorite commercial that I've seen in a long time, which was Michael Cera right there, moisturizing cream. So that made me think, well, that goes back to one of my favorite movies and one of the funniest movies that I've seen in recent time. And that goes back to Superbad. Superbad, who is very influential in Superbad, is Seth Rogen. How old is Seth Rogen? Chat, how old is Seth Rogen? Hey, be quick, don't hurry. The first person to get it correct will be our champion this week. How old is Seth Rogen? How old is Seth Rogen?
I had an age pop into my mind, but I'm trying to double check my brain.
You got to make
sure
that you've slipped up with going back in history.
Well, yeah, I don't have like Seth Rogen graduated college date like I did with like Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders.
Yeah. Athletes are much easier for that reason. All right. I'm going to say 47 years old, Seth Rogen.
47, final A to Z.
That is my final answer.
So I did think you were going to do this. And because Seth Rogen looks a lot older than he actually is. Because he does. He looks older. Usually like, oh yeah, he's like Brad Pitt.
He's lived some life.
Yeah. He's done some things and some stuff. So I will say that's incorrect. Because I was surprised. I had to because you're not close. I was surprised at his age. So let's go to the chat. Let's see who got it. And I think they're going to be a little high too. Orlando, too old. Ashley, too old. Eric, too old. Jay, too old. Brent, incorrect. Jody, too old. Our girl Liz, incorrect. Too old. Steven says 52, too old. Lou, too old. Too old. From Matt, Jabu, swing and a miss, too old. Jake, no. American, Toff, no, too old. Jay, too old. Brad, 45, too old. We have a winner. Ronnie. Ronnie is our champion today because he got this correct. Seth Rogen is only 41.
What?
Seth Rogen's 41 years old. April 15th, tax day, 1982. Mind blown. When I thought of the Sarah and the Rogen thing, I looked it up. I go, whoa, Ronnie, congratulations to Ronnie. Ronnie is our age game champion. And Ronnie, just for you and that good looking beard you got there in your avatar, that beard would pair very nicely with some A to Z sports merch. And we're going to give you, Ronnie, 40% off of all of our merch. If you go to shop.azsportsnashville.com, you can look at the swag. You can get you a long sleeve shirt. You can get you a new hat. You can replace that hat in that photo. But Ronnie is our champion. We love you, Ronnie. Way to go, Ronnie. 41 years old is the correct answer. And Ronnie Crowder is the champion of our age game this week. I told you, in March, we're going to redo it. March, Ronnie, you're going to go up on the big board. So it's not a false win. You still get credit for the win, but we start the big board. Yeah, this is a preseason. You're just exhibition. You're getting warmed up. But once March hits and free agency, we will have a big board. So, Ronnie, congratulations.
So Yankee Kang did exactly what I did. I knew Knocked Up was within my senior year of high school, which is 07, 08. And I thought he was at least 30 there, which is why I said 47. But he was 24.
Well, he used to be, it's kind of like Jonah Hill. He used to be fat, and then he lost the weight,
and he's also
got to
hairy.
Hollywood, and he got hairy, and his hair turned gray. And he kept the beard, right? So, and he's scraggly. He doesn't really care. So, like, 41. I was surprised. A lot of life to live for Seth Rogen.
Ronnie says, great birthday present. Boom. There you go, Ronnie. How about that?
Happy birthday, Ronnie.
Happy birthday. All right. Man, 41 blows my mind. So how old was he in Superbad? Because that was Superbad before or after
Let's see.
Knocked
here.
Up? After. Superbad was like 2010.
Superbad was 2007. Knocked Up had to have been earlier. Knocked Up. No, Knocked Up was 2007. He was in a bunch of movies back to back.
Big year. Oh, geez. That's crazy. All right. Well, hey, that'll do it for us. Solid show on this Super Bowl reaction. We'll have more of it. A2Zsports.com is all over it. Our guy Nicholas McGee was in Vegas for the Super Bowl yesterday in the locker rooms post game. Got a lot of video there, a lot of coverage on our website, A2Zsports.com from our entire team. So go check that out. And also make sure you hit that like button on the way out. We need more likes on the show. Way more people are watching that have liked that show. So we need to fix that problem. Give us a like on Facebook and on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow morning on a Tuesday. Buck Rising live tonight for A2Z Sports Primetime. Appreciate it as always.
Adios.